Hey, what's going on? In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you the concept of rooted phrases. We're going to connect this to some music theory, and then I'm going to teach you a short little song, and we're going to use this as our example to convey this concept, and you can use this as riffs. You can play this on its own. This one does involve bends, but I'm also going to teach another variation of this, really just the same thing, an octave up that doesn't involve bends. So check this out. Here we go. A 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's what we're going to learn today. Now, some background information. I'm playing on a C harmonica, and we are playing in second position, and I'm mostly using the blues scale. Now, the blues scale is one of those really important scales for us as diatonic harmonica players. You're definitely going to want to learn it, but learning the notes is not enough. You really want to be able to flow through them really fast, getting up to a high tempo, something like, 200 to 260, okay? So if you could do that with a metronome click in the background, it's really going to help your harmonica playing. Now, I've provided a document and some training that you can use to work on this process yourself. You can find it in my scale cheat sheet. It's a free download. The link is down below in the description. So go and check that out if you need work on your blues scale. But let's go and work into this idea. Now, as you noticed, I'm playing a 12-bar blues idea. Now, this is a concept in this lesson that can be applied to genres outside of the blues, but the blues is a little bit easier because the chords that we're following are all set in stone. Generally, every blues song uses the same 3 chords, the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. In this key, that's going to be the chords G, that's the 1 chord, the 4 chord is C, and the 5 chord is D. Now, if we think of a 12-bar blues, we have 4 measures of a G chord, okay? Then we have 2 measures of a C chord. We go back to 2 measures of a G chord, and then the last 4 bars goes D, C, G, D. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways to follow these chords. One of the ways that you'll learn when you're starting harmonica is that, hey, just start your phrases on the notes that are in that chord, or especially the root note. So in a G chord, you could start your phrases on the note G. Now, that's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but I want you to think about this in a different way. I want you to pay attention to the note that we're ending on, because when you play any sort of phrase on harmonica, it's not the notes in the middle that we're really picking up. It's really the notes in the beginning, at the end. And if you harmonize with the chords, as in if you play a note that is in the chords that are in the music at the right times, either at the beginning or the end, it's going to sound like you're following along with that 12-bar blues or with whatever chord progression that you're playing. Now, we generally only think about this in the beginning, but doing this at the end of your phrases is another great way to go and follow the chords, and I call these rooted phrases, okay? Because we're going to be rooted to this one note, and that's going to start all of our phrases, and then we're locking onto the root of the chord that is at the end of the phrase, okay? So this is the concept that we're working on today. Now, let me go work through this thing that I just taught you. Now, I told you that there's going to be 2 versions, one with bends and one without bends. So this is the main riff. Okay, so that's the main idea. I'm going to talk through the tabs. We have 2 draw, 2 whole step draw bend, 1 draw, 2 whole step draw bend, 2 draw. Okay, so that's the idea. We're going to try to play it relatively fast. So that's what you can do over the G chord, okay? And this is important. In the G chord, we're starting on the 2 draw, but in this case, the note that's going to change is only the last note, right? So we are going to end this case, because we're on a G chord, end on the G as well. So we're starting on the G and ending on the G. So that's how you play it in the low octave. In the high octave, we're going to do 6 blow, 5 draw, 4 draw, 5 draw, and then 6 blow. Okay, so the same thing, just an octave apart. So if you can't bend, you would probably want to do the higher octave version. So I'm going to have the tabs of both of these on the screen, but I'm going to really talk through the one in the low octave, okay? So let's start this out. So we start on the G, right? And we end on the G, and that's going to work for 4 bars. So we have, if you want, you can play a G chord right after that, like G. That's the draw chord on the low holes. Okay, so right here, the music would shift over to the C chord. But we are going to stay on the G. We're going to stay rooted to that G. But instead of going back to the G, right, we're going to go down to the C. Okay, so this is the root note of the 4 chord, or the C chord. So we have 2 draw, 2 whole step draw bend. Then 1 draw, 1 half step draw bend, 1 blow. Okay? So that's going to happen twice because there's 2 bars of that C chord, right? And you can play a C chord here. Okay? And then we would go and go back to the G chord. So we would play the original phrase that we had. Now the last chord that we're going to try tracking is the D chord, okay? This is the 5 chord, and we're going to do that by ending our phrase on the D. Now even though we're on a D chord and there's no G in a D chord, we're still going to start on that G, right? This is a rooted phrase, that's the concept, okay? So we're starting on the G, that's all okay. And then we're going to go 1 blow, 1 half step draw bend, 1 draw, okay? So we're ending on 1 draw, which is a D. Okay, so that's what it would sound like in the low octave. In the high octave, that's the high octave, okay, tabs are on the screen. And then we would go to the C chord. So we did this previously, right? So we're gonna do the same thing and do the reverse of what we just did. So instead of 1 blow, 1 half step draw bend, 1 draw, we're doing the reverse. 1 draw, 1 half step draw bend, 1 blow. Okay, so that's tracking the C chord at the very end. Then the music moves to a G chord, so we're going to want to end our phrase on a G, so let's just use our original pattern. Okay, and then the music goes to a D chord. Now, I really like at the end of the 12-bar blues to play in many times this very simple phrase. Okay, that's just 2 draw, 2 whole step draw bend, 1 draw twice. Okay, so that's what I'm playing, and then if you want, you could end the phrase by doing the original riff again. So I'm going to go through this from the beginning. I'm going to talk through it one more time, and I'll do the low version and the high version, okay? So just one more time. These rooted phrases are ones where we're always starting on the same note, and then we are locking the last note of our phrase into whatever chord that we're currently on. Now, obviously, this is the case if you're playing over a backing track, you really got to match up correctly. But even if you're just doing this on your own with no backing track, you're just playing on your own with a harmonica, we're kind of implying these chords in our head. So this is another way to have that effect. And of course, you can, if you want to, like I was doing, play the chords after you do the riff because we have those chords on our harp. So here we go. Let's start from the beginning. So I'm going to play the first phrase, da-na-na-na-na, 4 times. Now we're going down to the C. We're tracking that C at the last note. Back to the G. Then D. Then C. Then G. And then that last lick. And then if you wanted to end it, you could do the original riff again. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. Let me show you what this sounds like with the high octave version. So in this case, we're starting on 6 blow, which is the higher octave of the G. So go try to play this in whatever octave that you can manage. You can do this over a backing track. I'd recommend a slower backing track, like a slow blues, to really make sure that you can lock into this and not worry about the rhythm too much. And you could also do this without a backing track, just you and your harmonica. That works totally fine as well. So I hope this was helpful. Really quick, I just want to let you know that I recently launched my harmonica coaching program, Harmonica Success. And in this program, I'm going to help you play the harmonica with confidence and skill by giving you a very comprehensive self-study platform that will get you through all of the beginner and intermediate stages of harmonica playing and get you to a place where you can improvise, you can learn songs, and you can go up on stage. And we even meet up every single week and I teach you a new lesson and we practice together. It's a real good time. And if you would like to learn more about this program, you can click the link down below in the description to apply. So that's it for this week. You can find the tabs down below. I'm Jonah Fox. I'll see you next time. Peace.